We know that getting clients and bringing in money is the most important part of our business, but still we get sidetracked building pretty CRMs and all these bells and whistles on our business, crazy websites and everything apart from the important thing for whatever reason. But not anymore. I've just built an AI system that automates outreach on autopilot. So it does all the heavy lifting so you can focus on the main things like growing your business, jumping on the sales calls and just closing them. So in this video, I'm going to break down the exact AI powered system that I've built for my agency in order to get me clients. And you can watch along, follow along and build it as well in real time. So if that's your bag and you want some clients on autopilot, keep watching. This changes everything. I'm going to dive straight into this because this is like take 4 or take 400. It feels like my loom keeps cutting out for whatever reason. I promise I paid the bill. But anyway, so what exactly are we building today? So it's literally a super personalized automated cold email system. And I probably could have come up with a better name than this one here. But here we are. We're running with it and we're going straight to the point. So I haven't got no fancy like mind map to show you or any whiteboard or anything like that. I literally just wrote down quick high level steps on this little one pager or 1.5 pager to literally take you guys through exactly what we're building, make it make sense, and then literally build it. So what the cold email system is going to do for you, let's say for example you're trying to reach like business to business leads, and you want to automate that whole process. What's going to happen is you're going to get a lead list, or you might have a VA or whoever to get you a lead list using a LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I've literally got the whole tech stack here. So yeah, you're going to go Sales Navigator, do a search, put that URL into a spreadsheet, click a button, and on the other end, you're going to have an instantly campaign that's ready to go, super automated, personalized to each individual lead. And that's going to go out to every single person in the background every day. And you're going to get meetings just booked in. Your phone's just going to be pinging, bing, 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 like this. So if you've got like business to business clients you're trying to sign, I'd recommend this system. This system, like I'm using it myself anyway. So yeah. I've taken the liberty to do some numbers just to kind of show you guys like the potential of the system and how it's exactly going to work. So this is based off having 9 mailboxes, and I'll talk about the mailboxes a little bit later. But I'd recommend having like at least 9 sending mailboxes that you're going to send emails from. And that could be like with 3 domains and then 3 mailboxes for each domain. So that's 9 altogether. And then I recommend sending 30 emails a day. And with those 30 emails, half of that is basically going to be following up each lead. So we're just going to do one follow up each lead. So every single day, you're going to be able to reach out 15 new leads per mailbox. So 15 times 9 is 207. No, it's 135. Sorry, 270 is the total. But 135 new people you're going to be able to reach out to every day. And let's say you're doing that Monday to Friday or month. That's going to be 2,700 emails, new people a month that you're going to reach out to. And these figures are very conservative, by the way. So 4% reply rate, that's based off, even if you didn't have the personalization and you just automated the whole cold email system, you could achieve like a reply rate of like 4%. So out of the 2,700 people that you're reaching out every month, you're going to get 108 replies, worst case scenario. Out of those 108 replies, let's assume a third of those are positive and then go on to book calls. And out of those 36 book calls, let's assume that you close only 12 of those. That's still, if you're selling a service that's, let's say, £1,000 a month or $1,000 a month for argument's sake, that would be 12,000 every single month. Literally, of building this system one time and letting it just run in the background. So let's look at some like higher numbers that are more closely linked to like the personalization that we're going to implement into the system. And even still, these are still like conservative numbers as well. But off a 10% reply rate, you're going to get 270 replies, same numbers, a third of those booked, 90, and a third of those closed. Bad maths would be 30 closes. So yeah, you can do the maths, and just that's just to show you high level how the system would work. So the whole tech stack that you're going to need to run this system is, I've literally just outlined it here. First, you're going to need LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and right now you can get a month free trial with that, and then it's £69 a month. Phantom Buster. So you're going to search for the actual contacts that you're looking for on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You're going to scrape that search into like a CSV list of leads. Well, it won't be CSV because you won't download it yourself, but Phantom Buster is $69 a month. And then with that list, you're going to want to get the emails of those people. So you're going to enrich that list with emails from Anymail Finder, but you can use any like email enrichment software. Same like with Phantom Buster, you could scrape it a million different ways. With Anymail Finder, that's £14 a month at the moment. And then you're going to launch the cold email campaigns using Instantly.ai. And that's $97 per month for the hyper growth plan, which you need to get access to the APIs. So if you want to automate everything, you're going to need a hyper growth plan at least. Like I said earlier, I recommend getting free domains. So they will be £15 each domain, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to double check these numbers, £15 and £5, but I think that's right. So £15 each domain and then £5 each mailbox. That's if you're buying it straight from Instantly. Like you don't want to do any legwork yourself. Like you just want to, everything's just plug and play. You go on the platform, they've got it already. You don't have to set up any like records yourself in the background. They can literally manage everything for you on the system. If you was to go elsewhere, get your own domains, set up your own mailboxes, it'd be like much cheaper. But who wants to do all the heavy lifting nowadays when you can get all the systems to do it for you? And then Mate.com is starting from about £10 a month, but I think you might need a £15 package or £20 package. I'm not too sure. But altogether, it's going to be around £250 to £300 a month just to keep the system running in the background. But let's say, for example, worst case scenario, you get 12 closes, your quid's in, mate. So high level of what exactly we're going to be doing is first, we're going to compile a lead list from a LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You're going to scrape that well, in theory, you're going to scrape it using Phantom Buster, enrich it with an email finder, and run the campaign using Instantly and connect everything together using Mate.com. These are the actual steps to actually build out the system. But I can show you exactly, this is how the finished system looks, and I've got it in 3 different scenarios. So I think I can make me a little bit smaller here. Oh, a bit too small. Oh, sugar. I thought I cancelled it again. I would have started the whole video all over again. Imagine that. Anyway, let's run with that. So this is the first part of the scenario. I broke it down into 3 different sections because like there's some API calls like launching the Phantom Buster that take a little bit of time. And if you to run it all in one scenario, Mate.com is going to time out after 45 minutes. So it wouldn't really, let's say you're trying to you're trying to get import 1,000 leads or more or whatever, it's going to time out. So you're going to have to break down the whole scenario into like different sections. So you can just literally copy what I've done here, breaking it down into 3. But basically the trigger is from a Google Sheet. So I've linked it to a Google Sheet, and as soon as you put a URL into that Google Sheet, it launches this scenario. So what's going to happen then? It then launches a Phantom Buster, which is going to bring you on to the next part of the scenario. So Phantom Buster is going to notify this webhook here that it's ready to go. It's got all the results, which is then going to get passed into JSON, which is the language that all of this is running on, by the way. It's not hard to learn if you don't know JSON. But another tip as well, you can use ChatGPT to kind of like help you out with like any like troubleshooting, error finding, and that kind of thing. It's probably not the best thing for errors and whatnot. Maybe even like this AI here might be a little bit more suited to exactly what you're doing, but you'll be able to get your head around it. So yeah, these open AI steps are just like formatting text really. I was just like, it's just a quick way to format some of the text. This is also formatting some of the text, basically to keep it all in like perfect JSON, so all the API calls can kind of read the exact instructions and all the different leads that are coming through. So this is the Anymail Finder API call, which is then going to enrich the leads with emails. And then what's going to happen then is the same thing again. So another webhook at the start. So as soon as that's ready, this whole scenario is going to get triggered. And if the email is valid, it's going to pass through the system. And if it's not valid, then we're not going to worry about it. So if the email is valid, we're gonna generate an icebreaker using ChatGPT, um, and this is gonna give you basically a personalized icebreaker based on like each lead's individual LinkedIn profile and whatnot. And then that's going to pass through to Instantly and upload these leads into your Instantly campaign. So you're ready to run campaigns with all of these leads that have got personalization on every single one of those. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do what I've just done. And I'll have this up here for reference as well, just to make it a bit quicker when I build it again. Otherwise, if I build it completely blind from scratch, it'll take me another 3 days like it took me in the first place. I feel like I've went through every single error on mate.com, and I know what every single error means and all these different things just from like trial and error and learning a lot of what I'm doing literally. But anyway, to start the automation, you're gonna need a trigger to get it started. So really and truly, you could do anything as a trigger, I suppose. But it's only logical for what we're doing right now to use a Google Sheet. So the only work you'd have to do to start this system is really do a LinkedIn search on Sales Navigator, get a search of like ideal leads that you'd like, and copy that URL and paste it into the system. That's basically the main job. So you can hire like a VA or anyone to do this for you, or yeah, you can do it yourself. It's not really like a hard task, to be fair. So what trigger we're going to use is this one here called Watch New Rows. And before I even fill in this, what I want to do is create a new sheet, because this is the sheet that I'm currently using at the moment. It's called Leads. But let's make a new sheet for the purpose of this example. So let's start a new spreadsheet and let's call it anything. I'm being a bit wary as well because this Loom's kind of locked off a few times because I think I'm just maybe using too much different tabs and apps and all sorts. So I'm just going to take my time and not like go too fast. Because if this video stops again, I might have to call it a night. Right, what should we call this? YouTube build. And on my other one, I've got like uploaded and the tick box, but I don't really need that. Uploaded. Location. Sorry, it's a bit late, so I don't even know if I'm even writing the right things nowadays. Let's leave this as our header. So really, the only important field here is going to be this URL field. So as soon as we drop something in this URL field or this D column, and every time we drop something in a new row, that's going to launch the automation. So that's the important part there. And to start off, let's map it out in mate.com. So this is my Google Drive. So basically what you want to do before you get started is you're going to have to connect your Google Drive to mate.com here. And all of these apps, they have like native modules. All of these little things are called modules. So all of these modules, like Google Sheets and all these popular ones, they have native modules. So you don't have to do like manual API calls for the most part. For a lot of things, it's a lot easier to just connect it here like this. So then you're gonna search from path, my drive, choose to click file. Then you're gonna search for that spreadsheet what I just created, or you just created if you're following along. YouTube build. So that's the path of like where it's saved in my drive. Sheet name would sheet one would just be the first sheet, which is the first type of the sheet. Tables contains headers, yeah, that's what I highlighted, and the headers are this. Yeah, that's cool. The maximum number of results to be worked with during. I just like to do one at a time. To be fair, choose where to start. That's a great question. Choose where to start. You know what? We start with all. All right, cool. The next step is gonna be basically Phantom Buster. Launch a Phantom. So I'm gonna go into Phantom Buster and kind of show you how it all works before I even fill in like all this information. But let's call this YouTube build 1 out of 3 because this is the first scenario. Um, this is the Phantom that I was using previously, but I'm gonna go back to the start for the sake of this tutorial. It's a tutorial type shit. 4 slots available, so I don't know whatever package I've got for Phantom Buster, but you get 5 Phantoms on this package anyway. So what you want to do is browse Phantoms. Sounds like a good idea. So as you can see here, there's all sorts of like different scrapers that you can scrape from all over the internet. But what we're interested in is Sales Navigator, all Phantoms and flows. Sales Navigator search export. Use now. Sounds good. So let's call this YouTube example. Oh no, I need sales nav in there somewhere. YouTube sales nav search. Sounds good to me. And how we're actually going to link it is usually without automation, you can just put in your URL from your LinkedIn search here, and you kind of can go through it manually. But what we're going to link is the spreadsheet, what we've just created. So the URL is here. I'm kind of traumatized. Please make sure your spreadsheet is publicly available. That's a great idea. So as much as I'm taking you through this like step by step, there's like prompts along the way for everything, literally. So yeah, you can't really. Actually, you can go wrong. I was gonna say you can't go wrong, but yeah, you can definitely go wrong. Anyone with the link can access this. So yeah, even you at home, guys, if you can put this link in your computer and go onto your spreadsheet if you want. You're not gonna have much fun, but you can do it anyway. So this should be good now. Um, Name of column containing searches. Just had to like refresh that because it didn't register that I put it on public. I think it's oh yeah here URL. Even easier. I was gonna type in manually. You know what I need to learn as well? How to not say all the time. But anyway, save. And this is where you're gonna have to connect it to your LinkedIn. So see my old business here. I need to update my LinkedIn to be fair. Add me on LinkedIn as well, guys. Let's let's connect. Connect to LinkedIn. So yeah, you'd click that. What you have to do, because that's automatically there for mine. You need your Sales Navigator session cookie, but what you actually need is your Phantom Buster extension. So you can like Google Phantom Buster Chrome extension and just download that. And then when you go on LinkedIn to do your Sales Navigator search, this will already like just link and your browser user agent. This is my browser user agent here. So you can just insert that here. That's automatically detected for me. So I can just press save. On LinkedIn sales now, I'm going to go into that in a bit because it'll probably make a little bit more sense rather than I started in Phantom Buster for whatever reason. You know what? Let's start in sales nav. So this is just like a search that I was doing earlier for a different test. This guy gave me a headache, mate. Um, Let me X off everything what I was doing. I just wanted to test with like a low number. But for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so this is what your Sales Navigator is going to look like. And for Sales Navigator, you don't want to scrape more than 2,500 contacts a day because it's going to put your LinkedIn account at risk doing like bare different searches. But anyway, So I've got these things in because what we're looking for here is like these are basically the people that we're going to be contacting through like cold email. So all like these different people and whatnot on LinkedIn, you can easily like access all these leads. So what we're looking for is wow, it's exactly what you're looking for really in terms of who are you actually selling to, what's your niche. You can type in like whatever your thing might be. I've typed in marketing agency because I can help like marketing agencies. But to be fair, anyone with like a digital business, even physical bricks and mortar stuff, everyone's going to need some automations. So yeah, earlier I was testing with a marketing agency, and what you're looking for is the decision maker. So you only really want to email and chat to the people that can say yes or no. Like you don't really want to waste your time with like people that are gonna say yeah, sounds great, but they can't do nothing with you. So search for like owner slash partner, and there's gonna be some like other options here you can like go through. I think I was just testing like you can like director all these things. I was just trying to make a small search because I didn't want to test it out on like a 2000 results. For example, I think this has got London in here. London marketing agency owners, and probably some other filters in there as well. But that's 2,000 results. You can just take this URL and put this into Phantom Buster and get all these details, enrich it with emails, and upload it essentially, which is what we're doing. But just for the sake of this test, I want to make this list about maybe like 10 people. Um, so let's kind of break it down. Let's go to self employed. What we got? 578. A good thing to put as well is posted on LinkedIn because these people are active. Like you're gonna have more chance of these people replying. So these people are good to look for. 192. I can't lie, guys. This is gonna be a long night. The loom cut out again, so I gotta pick up where I left off. You know what? Let me move me over here. Anyway, let's get straight to it. So what we are at 192. Um, using current company. For my normal search, I wouldn't like put like half of these things, but for the fact that I'm trying to um I'm trying to cut down this list so we can get to like there we go. Get to like 8 people so we can like just test on smaller numbers. Basically because make.com every time you test in these things, it takes up operations and you're getting with your plan, you've only got so many operations a month. Not that I'm gonna blow them through with testing, but it's just easier to test on a look. I don't know what day it is. It's just easier to test on a small basis scale. I don't even know what I was doing. Yeah, back to Phantom Buster. So all right, cool. So yeah, 2,500. That's the max you want to scrape from LinkedIn per day. So set it to 2,500. Advanced behaviors. You can do like these things if you want like duplicate profiles, but I wouldn't worry about all these little things. So you're gonna save that. Um, I wouldn't even do the launch frequency here. You can sort everything out on the back end. So advanced settings, we're gonna have to come to this later. But basically, for the time being, this Phantom that we've created, YouTube Sales Nav Search, has been set up. So we can come back to make.com and we can kind of get cracking. Get cracking, mate. What did I just? Oh yeah, I just freaking copy and pasted the something. So basically, I copy and pasted the URL from the LinkedIn search. So I'm gonna paste that here. I don't need it right now. This is where I put like name, location. I can put like tick boxes here if I wanted, and you can do all kind of like cool stuff, like tick the box automatically if you care. But I don't care. I can't even find a tick box right now. It's late. But yeah, anyway, let's stay on track. And this is what happens. Sometimes you get so sidetracked building these things, you end up building like such like unnecessary stuff that you don't really need. Um, so same again with this module here. You're gonna have to connect this to your Phantom Buster. I've already done like all these connections. It's not hard anyway. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, connect it to your Phantom Buster. Then you're gonna need the ID of that particular Phantom. So you know how I said, yo, I had 4 slots left. So this is gonna have taken one of the slots. So this is what they call a Phantom. So my Phantom ID is this one between Phantom and setup in the thing. So not the one before Phantom, this one after Phantom, this number here. I want to say I think, but I'm kind of pretty confident it is. But let's see. So yeah, so what we've done, we've set up the Google Sheet. So when a new role gets implemented, that will trigger and that will launch a Phantom. Should we test it out? This little simple stuff. Can I get rid of this thing? That's gonna cancel my whole new minute. Let me make me smaller again. How about keep me over there? So what I want to do, I want to run this, and what's going to happen is it's going to find a URL in the Google Sheet, and it's going to launch this Phantom. This sounds simple enough. You'll be surprised how there's errors for every single thing. So yep, as if we go back to Phantom, you know what? I didn't even save it. Imagine that. But it's still running anyway. So look, running successful authentication. So the connection's good. It's authenticated. So this is basically logged into my LinkedIn, connected as me, that's me, running, and it's basically going to scrape that list from look, got 8 leads. Remember we had 8 in the LinkedIn search, so it's found 8 profiles and it's just grabbing all their details. What I wanted to bring your attention to is the amount of hours. So with Phantom Buster, with your package, my package, I got 20 hours per month. These little searches like that took 2 minutes. That's not going to take no time. Let's say you're doing 1,000, it's still not going to take much time. So your 20 hours is more than enough, is what I was trying to say. So here's the results of the search basically. So these are the people, all their details in terms of like this the same thing was on LinkedIn basically, but it's just in a better format. So we can then use this format to enrich it with their email. So all we're really trying to do, we've got their details now. We just want to add the email here so we can reach out to them. Essentially, that's like long story short, basically. Um, so if you're doing this manually, you download these results, then go into the other app and upload it in the other app and all that stuff, all that fun stuff. But we've um instead we've got it here. Also, that content that Phantom ID that I put in was correct, as you can see, because it launched. So if you can look in here, these basically when you click on these little things, it shows you the result of like the run basically. Um, so that's the URL from the spreadsheet. So that's kind of what they basically found. And then because we set up Phantom on the back end, it knows to look in this Google spreadsheet already for this URL because it is looking for that column. So it chose that column. So if we had other things in here, it would still choose this URL column, which was in row number 2 at this time. But if we wanted to, let's say for example, that was the whole automation and we was doing this again, and we just wanted to put another URL in, we could fill up this thing with URL. And every time we fill it up, this is going to launch automatically in make.com. So that's the first part of the automation done, and I can't lie, that's the easier part. The rest of the part was a headache. To save this, what you want to do as well, save your scenarios. It's always a good idea to save your scenarios because if you're like me, you'd find out the hard way that it doesn't auto save your scenarios. And a scenario is just something that you build in it's that little playground what you build on in make.com. So yeah, it's just taking a bit of time. So I'm going to create a new scenario here. And I'm going to call this one 2 out of 3 because this is the second scenario. This is, the second scenario. YouTube build. I'm going to refer back to the one that I built earlier just to see where we are, to see what I need to build. But basically, ideally, if I wasn't recording this video, I'd have that other tab open as well with the other build with the other one in there. In fact, I might just do that and close it. I wonder if I stop notifying you, would you realize that the Loom video cut off and I'm just piecing these separate videos together? I'm not doing anything in between anyway, apart from I put this webhook, but let me get rid of this. Do it again because I don't have camera. Basically, what we're going to do here is a custom webhook. And what the reason is because in the first scenario, so it launched a Phantom, and then in the background, they're gonna do their thing and find all the details that they need to find. They gotta do that in the background because of our execution time. We'd rather do it on their time than our time because we've only got 45 minutes per execution. And if we can do like 1,000, 2,000 leads or whatever it may be, it's going to take up more than the time that we got. So we're going to send the information for them to do their thing. When they're done, they're going to ping us and say, yo, here it is. So that's literally what the webhook is basically doing. It's basically a callback. So when that's done, they can basically say to us, yo, we've got all the information that you're looking for. So we're going to basically set this webhook up so it speaks to them, basically. So we're going to add webhook called PB webhook YouTube build. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to copy this address to clipboard, and you're going to put this address into Phantom build, Phantom Buster. I'll show you exactly where we put this in. So we go back to the Phantom, the setup, advanced settings, what I mentioned earlier, and then you're going to go to webhook and you're going to put a custom webhook URL and you're going to put that in there. So what that basically means is this is now talking to make.com and saying when when they've downloaded all that information, they've got all that information, basically send it over here. And you know what? Send it over here, and we can launch this scenario, which is part 2. So what we're going to do is test that that's working. A good practice to get into as well is just testing everything at every stage of the way. So I manually launched it this time instead of using like the automation, but it's the same stuff. Search successfully processed. You know what? I didn't actually put in a new list, so I'm not sure if that would even. Oh, well, it found it anyway. Successfully determined. So it basically spoke to this and let this webhook know, yo, all the information you're looking for is basically on this webhook. So that's good to go. That's cool. So what we're going to do after we get that information, we're going to want to pass that information, pass to JSON. Sorry, add, pass, or JSON. So JSON's basically code, and I'm not like technical at all, but I can understand JSON. You can literally understand it within like 1 or 2 days. It's English. It's funny enough, it's English, so it's like it's just formatted in a different way. So humans can read it, but also like the computer can read it too. So it's a cool bit of code. Passing the JSON is basically taking the information from here and putting it into the JSON language that we can understand and that we can use as variables for like the other parts of the flow. So okay, cool. Going back to the scenario, I'm trying to think of the logical steps without going back to these things because these things are just slowing down my laptop. What was that? Loom. So basically, after we scrape the data from LinkedIn, we're gonna want to enrich the emails, right? Right. To enrich the emails, we're going to want to. We can do 2 things here, right? So Anymail Finder, they have their own native module on make.com, and you can do like all these things, make an API call, validate an email, all these different things you can do. But I just do my own API call, make a request. I do my own API call. To be totally honest with you, I can't remember the reason. But when I was building it, it's easier to do my own API call than use their one. I think maybe I wanted to do something that was easy to do with the request than what they was offering me. But before I could actually call their API, we need to actually format this JSON. Because what's going to happen is when we get this information from Phantom Buster straight from LinkedIn, some people have like emojis in their name or in their summary and things like this. They have like a lot of like new lines. New lines are just like line breaks, like spaces. New lines basically. So it's like that will break the code. So when you're doing an API call to like Anymail Finder and all these kind of like APIs, it will break it won't work. It just come up with an error message. So let me go here to remind myself of the actual scenario flow what I've done. So I had the Phantom Buster webhook pass to JSON. I removed the excess spaces. I removed emoji names, escape new lines and quotes, and enriched a lead with email. You know what I might as well do? I'm cheating here, but it might be for the sake of the video. I might be able to copy all of this, copy modules, put it in this, what I'm building now, and explain exactly what's what. Is that cheating? I literally built that over, I finished building of one earlier, so I'm trying to make the best use of everyone's time here. So, okay, cool. So what you're going to want to do, I'll tell you exactly how to do this as well. So this is just ChatGPT, which is an open AI module. So I went here to open AI and I clicked on, which one did I use? I think, create a completion. I clicked on create a completion. So when you create a completion, same thing again, connect it to the API using like, as it's a native module, it's easy to connect. When I go into this one, which is not the native module, it's just the make.com API call, I'll show you how to connect that API just so you can if I can show you once, you'll be able to do it on any of them. So create a chat completion. So basically, I'm using ChatGPT to format text. So let's say there's too many spaces, or there's emojis, or anything that's random in the leads. I'm going to take it out. I'm using GPT 3.5 Turbo because it's cheaper than like the latest one to use. Because with ChatGPT, wow, with everything here, you gotta pay to play. That's just the name of the game. So first, I'm gonna do a system prompt to let the ChatGPT know exactly what we're doing here, who you are. So I've typed in you are helpful, intelligent, writing assistant. You don't have to type this in, to be honest with you. And then after, I'm gonna give it instructions using a user role. So this is exactly what I wanted it to do. So format the summary so it's proper, remove excess spaces and anything else that will break JSON format, and produce the results in JSON. This was an example that I fed into the system. So this is someone's summary, and I'll give you an example of what a summary is so we all know what we're talking about here. Where's our Phantom Buster? So basically, these are all the different fields that you're going to get when you scrape these leads from LinkedIn, right? So you're going to get the company name, their title, company, whatever, summary, yeah. So it's longer than this when you download the full list, but basically it's like their bio from their LinkedIn. And you also get a title description, which is like an extension of that bio for some people, not all people. But as you can see, like, look here, there's emojis, there's going to be all sorts of other things. And in actual fact, I think an emoji in a summary line may be able to go through the API call, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And then setting this up, and then you're going to run into errors later down the line. So it's better to just sort everything out from the start. And look at this, like this person's name, they've got an emoji in their name. So it's like you're not going to be able to find their email because you're just going to get errors back from the Anymail Finder. So you want to format all these texts so it's all just normal English. So that's what the next steps are about here. So basically, this was an example from someone's summary, and they had like a lot of these spaces in here. So I'm giving ChatGPT an example of the problem which was causing me an error, and assistant is basically the example of how I want you to give me back the data. So I kind of just took out all the spaces and said, yeah, that's fine. A user, basically, that was the example, and now I want ChatGPT to kind of do it for me for real. So this is a good example, actually. This is basically how to map out what data you want each module to use. The data I actually want is from this parse JSON. So after we get the webhook, we're going to want to parse this JSON. So what I should probably do first is, let me save this. Let me unlink this. At every single stage, when you add something, you want to test it to make sure it's all working, right? So to test this, oh yeah, move me. To test this, we're going to want to run. That's cool. We're going to want to run this. So it's waiting for the Phantom to launch. You know what I need to do as well to make it better for testing? Because this is going to launch, but nothing's going to update because I'm not putting a new search in. But what I can do is go to setup. Like for example, if I go back to that, I don't think much would have happened. So like, yeah, look, missing value, like nothing's there because it launched, but there was no new search, right? So go back to Phantom Buster. So what I actually want to do here, go to advanced settings, file management. I want to delete the previous files. So after I get the files, it can it basically deletes these here. So I can basically do a search again every single time. But for the sake of this, let's do another search quickly. Wow, there's nothing quick about this actually. So let me change one thing here to change the search. Industry hospital. Okay. I had 8 people before in it. Let's do this one. This one's got 5 in there. Let's take this URL, pull it into our sheet. Can even change this. And believe it or not, I just pasted that and it's changed, even though it looks exactly the same. Go back to Phantom Buster. Basically, I'd really test it in make.com using the first scenario, which is like the Google Sheet one, to trigger this. But because like I'm not trying to open, like I've got enough tabs open already, I'm not going back to the first scenario. So I'm just going to launch this manually. And as you can see, it's like connecting to LinkedIn. It's basically doing that whole search again. So with those leads, it's going to get all those details and put it into a format for us to understand. You know what? Run. I forgot to run it. Did I do it in time? Yeah, I did, but the operation failed. You know why it failed? I didn't put anything in here. That's why it failed. So basically, this is like I'm trying to pass the JSON, but I'm not even saying what JSON I want to pass. But really, I want to pass the result object. And to give you an idea, this is the result object here. So the output is basically what you get from this webhook, well, from any module. So the same results that I just showed you in a Phantom Buster, you can also see it here. But it looks a bit funny, right? So we're going to pass it so it looks a bit more simple. So let's run this again. And that's going to wait for me to launch. I'll go over here, I launch again. Hopefully I don't need to put in a new search because I put these to delete on each run. So they will just delete and run again, and I get the same results on this end. But in my system, when it's finished, I will get new. This will work. Oh, that's the plan. In theory, and this is why sometimes like the automations can take long because like especially when you're just starting out, you're gonna get like a million errors. Like even here, I got that's not actually an error. That's good. One. That means it's good. This one that I've got here is because this isn't linked to anything. Like usually pass is like a something that you put in the middle, right? So it wouldn't be the end of any scenario. So that's why it's saying one here. And same for here. This isn't a trigger. So it's like what am I meant to be linked to? So these yellow ones are not to worry for now, but this is good. This one. So basically, what this has done. So the input here was the JSON string what I put in. Basically, this was the input that we got from this webhook. It looked like this, and now it just changed it so you can see each section: profile, URL, full name, first name, last name. So basically, it just mapped out each heading like clearly, so we can use this data to map out onto other things. So I can now go into here. It wants me to connect, so connect that. I can now go into here. Pardon me. And just wait for it to load up. You know, I need to put on my wish list a new laptop, one of them fast, proper laptops. But yeah, it goes to show you don't need the latest anything to get going, guys. You can just get going. So basically, I want ChatGPT to use data from what I've just found. You know, it would help. What am I even doing here? ChatGPT. So removing excess spaces from the summary. So I can go here and find the summary. And ChatGPT is basically going to remove all the excess spaces from my summary and make sure it's formatted correctly. So another thing I want ChatGPT to do is remove the emojis in the names. What is that error anyway? Module references. Oh yeah, because I've copy and pasted it from the other scenario, it's referencing like all old stuff. So that's why it's good. So I can show you guys exactly how you do it from scratch, right? So this is literally the same module as that exact same module. There's probably even a way where I can do both of these things in one module, but let me not complicate everything. I've set it up the same way, told it, yo, your writing assistant. I've gave it instructions in the form of user, and I've given it an example. So if someone's got a name and they got an emoji like here, this is what the result should be. So user assistant, user assistant. So users like, yo, the real life example, and assistants like what I want the system to produce. So if it's got an emoji, take out that emoji. We don't need that. And also, some people have got like these kind of titles in their name, right? So if they've got those titles in their name, take that out. Let's just have their name, please. If they've got an emoji at the front, let's take that out as well and just have their name like this. So that's all the examples of what I wanted to do. So the whole purpose of this is to remove emojis, format the full name so it's proper, remove the emojis if present, and fix like capitalization. So, for example, this person had all caps. You can just make it nice and neat here. So the actual data that I want this ChatGPT to use, it was full name previously. That was on my old scenario, but now I want the full name from this past data here. Past full name. So hopefully it's starting to make a little bit of sense in terms of why we pass this information, so we can use it and map it out in the rest of our scenario. So the same thing again. This is just a format. Escape new lines, of course. This is to format text as well. The whole purpose of this whole scenario is just to format text so we can find an email for all these leads that we've literally just scraped. And it probably sounds like a long way of doing things, but once you build a system one time, it's gonna pay you forever. So to get this module, what you're gonna do is go to Tools, which is here. Go to Get Multiple Variables, or you can set one variable if you want, but sorry, not get, set multiple variables. You can set one if you want, but we're going to set multiple, well, because for the purpose of this. And what we're essentially doing is, you see everything that we've got here in regards to like full name, first name, last name. It's got its own formatting, like straight from LinkedIn, but we want normal formatting. So we're going to basically replicate all of this full name, first name, last name, all the data that we want to keep. We're going to replicate it all, but we're just going to format it so it's like normal English. So we just want it to be called first name, same as what it's called previously. But what we're going to do is use this same parse JSON module here, which, as you can see, it says number 3 down here, number 3 down here. So that matches what we're looking for is the first name here. So we're just going to type the first name here, and I'll give you a breakdown of what all these things are. So these are different functions. So you can look at it here and you can see the different functions. So I've got replace. So replace function is here. You can replace basically one word with another word. So where it says here, hello world, that was the original example. Instead of hello, it will say hi. So that's the replace function. So what I've done here for this replace function is, let me do it again just so guys can understand. Because otherwise it just looks like a mess, I suppose. So you type in replace and put open bracket, and then it's going to come up automatically. And it's going to show you an example of the format of how to do it. So you want to replace in this first name, you want to replace, put the semicolon here. You want to replace, what are we replacing? Let me look at this as an example. I'll put new lines, but new lines don't actually make sense in a first name. I'll just put it as like an overkill. There's not going to be any like new lines in someone's first name or last name, but I'll put it just in case. So I put new lines, which is here, and replace it with a space. So if there is, for example, someone's got a weirdly formatted first name with a new line in there, it's just going to have a space instead. So let's close that bracket. And then that's the replace function done. The only other thing that I replaced another thing as well. So same again, replace, semicolon. What did I replace? Have a look. I replaced the quotes with single quotes. So you see a quote like that, put colon again, semicolon again. I replaced it with a single quote. And that's what I've done. And I'll tell you why. The reason why I've done that is because a double quote like this is going to ruin your JSON. It's going to give you errors because these double quotes are part of like JSON. So it's going to think that, oh, yes, you're trying to do something else with the JSON. When in actual fact, there was just a quote in someone's name or in some of the text or whatever it may be. So you want to replace, it's good practice to replace all the double quotes with like single quotes. So this was literally a copy and paste. Same again. Go here. So I want to go to their last name to map out the same thing, basically. Company name, same thing. So it's literally copy and paste. So I'm just formatting every single thing. Company name, title, summary. So this is called result, and why it looks different, it's in green, is because it come from ChatGPT. It come from ChatGPT because if you remember, we use ChatGPT to format the summary. So here, remove excess spaces in the summary. So instead of like using the past data, which is before we put it in ChatGPT, let's use the one from ChatGPT. So what we get out of the ChatGPT is called a result. So that's actually the summary because we asked it to give us a summary. So what it's going to do is replace all the new lines with the code of new line instead of the actual new line. So that code of new line can be read by like any like API or anyone that reads JSON, any machine. And same thing, replace these quotes. So yeah, that's cool. What's this title description? Change title description. Yeah. Company location. So as you can see, it's a bit repetitive, but it's so good. Company location, person location. In the actual field, in the actual thing, it's just called location, but I put person location to differentiate it so I can understand what it is. So that's cool. So what we've done basically is we've got the call from Phantom Buster to let you know, yo, they've downloaded the information. The information is ready to go. We've passed it so we can use it and map it out in the rest of our scenario. We've removed the excess spaces from the summary. I've removed the emojis in the names. So anyone that had an emoji, we've removed that with ChatGPT. And then we've also removed the new lines and quotes of the rest of the things. So now we're going to map everything that we needed into this enriched lead with email, into this Anymail Finder API. So I'm going to show you how to actually do connect the whole API in the first place. Because as you can see here, there's no connect button. With everything else, there was a connect button. You can just connect it to your software nice and easy. But with this, nope. You know what's mad? I need to put a reminder. What time is this? To blur my API key because that'd be no good. All right, cool. So to get your API documentation, any mail finder API documentation, see it there. So you're going to be able to just Google any like app or whatever. You can Google it and just type in API documentation and find it on Google. So basically, this is like from the technical team. They basically give us a booklet. You know when you order something off IKEA and you get a little booklet to do the DIY yourself. This is the same thing, but for software, I suppose. So it's going to give you an introduction, everything you can do, but you don't really need to understand all this language. It's not too technical anyway. This is one of the easier API documentations. Sometimes you'll come across some documentation and you're frying your brain. But all you really need to understand is how to authenticate a request and also the endpoint, what you're looking for. And the endpoint is just whatever it is you're looking for. For example, with us, we're finding a person's email. So that's the endpoint that we need. So we don't need to mess with anything else. But it's good to have a look and see what else is possible to do from the API. I didn't even explain what an API is, but it's basically just a way to, how do I put it in English? It's like a login. Let's say it's like your login to your software. It's like, but instead of going through the front door, you're going through the back door. Pause. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because you're automating the whole system. So instead of like normally you'd log in each time and do everything manually, you need to be logged into all your software without having to log in. You need your software logged into their software. So you use the API to kind of speak to their system, basically. That's the easiest way I can explain it. So to authenticate requests, all API requests require an author. All API requests require an authorization header containing your API key. That's cool. Add a header named authorization to your request and set your API key as its value. Simple enough. So that's exactly what we've done, and I'll show you. So here's the header. As you can see, it will say header here, headers. Oh, headers, authorization, and then that's my API key. Hopefully, when I post this video, you can't see it, and if you can see it, then I've changed my API key by now. So sorry, guys. But yeah, that's authorization. The next thing, this will be on the next part of the API. Let's go to the next part. Find a person's email because that's what we want to do. Use this API endpoint to perform email lookups by providing the person's name along with their company details, either the domain or company name. This endpoint leverages advanced algorithms to uncover the verify emails, delivering accurate results while ensuring compliance with privacy regulations. So basically, they're guessing what your email is from your company name or domain and your full name. So if my domain was google.com, I owned Google, my domain was google.com, my name's Shaq Suave for argument's sake. They're typing like s.suave at google.com, shack.suave at google.com. All them different combinations and then ping like signals to the mailbox. And that's how they can verify it because when one of those signals are like picked up, they can know that, all right, cool, this is a real email address and there's a real inbox attached to it. So we can verify that, yeah, this is the real person that we're looking for because all like corporate emails follow like similar formats for the most part anyway. But you're not going to get everyone's email. You may get like 50%, 60% of people's emails. It may be slightly less because we don't have the domain if we're doing it through this way in terms of scraping through Phantom Buster from LinkedIn. We don't have the domain. We just have the company name along with the full name. You're going to get higher chances if you've got a domain and full name. It's going to cost you 1 credit for each verified email that you found. Blah, blah, blah. You have to include an authorization header with each request. That's cool. So the endpoint URL is here. So what you want to do is copy this endpoint URL, and you can see that the method is a post request. So here, method, post request, and this is the URL, same thing. So that's how you start. That would have been the top, but that's basically to let the system know that's what we want to do, basically. And that's the authorization, item 1. And this content.type application JSON, a lot of APIs will follow this same kind of format, to be fair. So here, that part is it gives you an example, request example here. So it tells you exactly what to write, to be fair. That's the URL that we put in. That's the authorization. It says it follows a bearer scheme, but I didn't type in bearer. On the actual authorization page, it doesn't mention bearer. So I'm going with the authorization page, and I've tested it on my other account and it works. That's fine. But I'm sure if you typed in bearer, it'd still work as well. But bearer is just a scheme, just a different type of security. But you basically type in bearer and then copy and paste your API key. So yeah, and this is another header, what I just showed you, content type, application JSON. And then this is the actual request. So this is all the information what we're giving it, and then from the back of that, it's going to give us an email address. So let's say this is someone's domain, Microsoft.com, and you give their full name, John Doe. This is they're gonna do their job and give you back this person's email address from just those two pieces of data. And then this is like more data that you can put in. So I map it all out. I put in first name, last name, company name, full name. I don't have the domain, but if I did, I'd definitely put it in. And that's how you write the body of the API call. You're also gonna want this as well, the webhook, and that you'll see in mine. I've got a header, which is the webhook. And then the same way we made a webhook for Phantom Buster, we'd make it again for Anymail Finder, because it's going to take a long time, but not too long, but longer than what we need to get everyone's email. So let's say we're trying to do 1,000 people, we're trying to get 1,000 people's email. It might take half an hour, which we don't have. So we'd create a webhook on the third scenario, put in the address from the webhook, and let this API basically know to send the information to the webhook. Like, we're not sitting around waiting for it, mate. Just send it here and we'll be all right. But yeah, so that's the third header. But we can come to that, I suppose. What's more important for this stage is the body request content. So this is, we're not speaking about JSON. This is JSON. So it's not too complicated as a code. Like, you can read that, you can understand like what exactly everything is. So on the left side, this is basically all the information that the system's requesting. In actual fact, it's only requesting like the full name and the company name. Like, you can get through with just those two, full name and company name. But I'll put in more information because I need this information myself for the third scenario, so I can map out the rest of the scenario in terms of like the summary and all these things, and then I can use ChatGPT to kind of personalize each lead using like all of this information. So that's why I've mapped out more than what I need. But really, if you just wanted their email, you could just put in, you could even just put in their first name, last name, and company name, and you could get like half of the people's emails. So as I've pasted this from my last thing, you'll see that these maps are all wrong. So I need the full name. And because I use ChatGPT to format the full name in remove emojis in names, remember when I done that one? So it'd be the result of that, which was probably the same number thing. It's probably the same mapped out thing, because I'm doing pretty much the same scenario. So yeah. But same with this first name. Remove excess space. Did I do any ChatGPT to the first name? Because it uses the full name more than the first name, and I've formatted the full name. I didn't over format the first name and last name. You know, I did change the variables actually. Here, escape new lines, and so we're taking it from here. So yeah, it's going to be the same number. So basically, it's all the same thing. First name, last name. Just map it out from the escape the new line and quotes variables. So you've got all the information that you need and pass a response. Yes, I want to pass a response. So I don't have to put another one of these pass modules in the last scenario. It will just give me the results in a usable format, basically. Long story short. So ideally, what I want to do here is test this whole scenario, and hopefully it all works. Should we do that? I'm just thinking. All right, cool. Let's do it. The only thing is, let me take out this webhook. Because I'll copy this, so I'm going to need this. Get rid of that. Because if I left that webhook in there, it's going to send to a webhook which is not even installed yet, and you won't get any information. So let's run this. Go back to Phantom Buster and launch this. Running. Probably take 1 minute, 2 minutes. But that's only, what was it, 5 leads? Can't remember, 5 or 8, something like that. But imagine you had 1,000. It'd probably take 10, 15 minutes. So that's why you do that's why you have the webhooks anyway. Because if it's all one scenario and you're just waiting for everything to happen with all these different cores, it'd take a long time to what you call it. So as you can see, everything went through. Like, look, it takes a bit of time. Oh, there's a bad request here. I think I know what that would be. And that kind of stopped the whole flow. So that's why it's good for basically, I'll show you here. Bad control character in string literal in JSON at position 753 on the third operation is the third thing. So basically, in here, in their details somewhere, it's like bad JSON, which kind of stopped the run basically. It could be these bullet points, to be honest. It could be these bullet points. So basically, summary. Because it's got these bullet points in, it won't be able to, it's just going to crash the email thing. It won't be able to find the emails. So that was the reason why we don't know the formatting of everything in the first place. But something slipped through the cracks. It's fine. But yeah, it's good that it happens here so we can kind of troubleshoot and yeah, make sure it doesn't happen like when you're doing it properly. You know what I want to ask? You know what I want to work out? I was just trying to think of the easiest way to get rid of the bullet points. But what we can do. Oh, and that's in the title description. That was in the summary. Because remember, we formatted the summary. So if there's anything like that, ideally in the chat GPT, I always say that wrong. Chat GPT. Yeah, that sounds about right. It got rid of everything, all of stuff like that in the summary, but I didn't do it for the title description. But you know what we can do? There's two things I can do. I can either do another one of these or another one of these. But I think the chat GPT is easier. You know what? I can do it here. What was it? The title description, right? I got this trim feature. I don't really need this trim feature, but what I do need, I can replace the bullet points with full stops. I'll leave the trim feature. Actually, yeah. I'll replace. bullet points with full stop, close bracket. That look right at the end of a bracket? Maybe not. Maybe that's right. Save. Looks good. Double check it. Because got so many things in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm replacing about 4 things. Bloody heck. 5 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 5 brackets. Hopefully that should be right. So shall we do that again? Let's run it again. That's me guessing that the what's it called? The bullet points threw it off. If it's not the bullet points, we're gonna have to troubleshoot again. And sometimes this is how it gets. Sometimes this is how it gets. Like you'll have errors, and you have to kind of just go into it and see like what the actual problem is. But because this has happened before, I've got a good idea that it was that. So yeah, we're gonna wait for it to run, see how it goes, and see what happens this time. What was I gonna do as well? I was gonna do something else. So yeah, the first ones went through. So what basically happens is it finds the leads on the same again at that same thing error. Bad control character and string, literal inches and bad request. Let me see if that thing worked as well. The bullet points. No, it didn't replace the bullet points. Look, it's still there. You know what? I can do it in ChatGPT. You know what else is gonna be a problem? That space. How big's that space? Might be one character. Might be okay. But if that space is massive, sorry. Copy module. Paste. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let's call this title description, right? Having a mermaid. Fix formatting title description. I'm back like cooked. I'm not sure whether I'm gonna leave this whole thing in or just chop this video for the sake of it not being too long. Basically, long story short, I ran into an error where the problem was there was lots of like spaces within the JSON, which when it's making an API call, it's not recognizing like all the spaces, which is common. It happens like there's lots of different like formatting issues what can kind of break JSON basically. And I wasn't aware of how to fix the white space, the not white space, well, yeah, white spaces and the extra spaces and tabs in the JSON. But the power of YouTube, eh? I literally learned this on YouTube, and I'm going to teach you guys exactly what I done on YouTube. But what it done for me is make this scenario a lot simpler. So I didn't, I deleted both of them actually before the break. Before the advertisement break, I had 3 ChatGPT modules, and now I've only got 1. So the other 2 serve the purpose of like formatting, like the spaces within the title description and the summary. I've managed to get rid of them 2 and put all of the formatting in here by learning how to replace the spaces. So they're called tabs. So you know when you press tab on your keyboard and it indents like the paragraph and it gives you like extra space. Basically, all I had to do was replace the tab with this /T. So the same way I replace new lines with N, I can replace the tabs with forward slash N. I replace the tabs with /T. So I've done that for both the summary and the title description, save that, and all my formatting is there. I'm able to simplify this scenario and run those leads through. And that saved me another problem. The other problem was one of the leads didn't have a summary. So when I had the chat GPT, it was just messing up all the formatting of everything. So now the formatting's a lot simpler. If you see here, like there's just like, yeah, the /n /t, no big spaces in the JSON. So that's all perfect. The only error I have now is 404, which is not bad because if you go into the API documentation, you can see all the different errors. 404 means that the email address is just not found. This indicates no email. Yeah, so that's fine. Like that's part of the life. Do you get me? Let me slow down before this loom cuts out again. My laptop's literally just taking its time. But basically, so 200 is the response that you want. That means good to go, green, good to go. 400 is what we was getting before, where in the body, the request, there's just something that's breaking the JSON, so the computer's not understanding the request. 401's unauthorized if you haven't done the authorization step. 402 is because all of these apps that need payment to process. For you to process emails, you need credits. So if you get 402, that means you need to top up your account. 404 is just the emails not found and blacklisted. But emails not found is cool because we're just gonna pass those details on. We're just gonna work with the emails that we do find. Because of this approach, it's like very automated. It's very hands off. Once it's built, we don't really need to get so granular about every single like lead. Like we can lose a lot of emails and still be very effective. So we've literally done this step of the scenario. The next step is just the third and final step of the scenario. I think there was something I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, basically to format JSON. Oh, that's cool. I probably should have came to this earlier. But doing this, I put in what the problem was with all these big spaces, the tabs, and I clicked escape, and I was able to see that they put in a lot of like /t's, which got me thinking, what the hell's /t? Then I came here and I was able to read exactly what they're escaping. So they escape like quotation marks, backslashes, control characters, and then it breaks down here. Tab is replaced with T. So I guess all of these things will break JSON. So it's probably worth putting all of these things, replacing all of these things with these letters or codes, JSON codes, so you don't have any errors going forward. So that'll probably be the best practice to do. But for the sake of this, I'm just gonna go into the third and final scenario. So let's call this 3 out of 3. Let's call this 3 out of 3 YouTube build. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This might be the this this might be the most chop and change like YouTube video ever. But you know what? Um, a wise man once said, "Perfection is the opposite of progress." And you know what? That's some real shit, man. Because if I was to try to do this perfect, I'd never put this video out. So it's gotta go. It's gotta go out, man. Everything's gotta go out. So let me take the trigger from here and I'll walk you through exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, this is the final straight, man. This is like the last 100-meter sprint. So this is the last part of the scenario, right? I copied this from obviously the one that I made earlier. I cut on for the second scenario, and I'm just going to talk you through exactly like what I'm doing, basically. So basically, because on the second scenario, if we look, we've got the emails at the end, and the emails takes time to validate. It takes a bit of time for this system to find like a proper email. Same like the Phantom Buster scraper. So we have to do a callback. And to do a callback, we literally, like before, went here, went to webhooks, clicked on custom webhook, and got this. So now we've got to create a webhook. So let's call it Anymail Finder, YouTube, because this is the YouTube build. All right. But you can call it whatever you like. Doesn't really bother me, mate. You copy this address, and what you want to do with this address is you want to go back to this API here. Oh, gotta take time when I'm switching tabs. The whole camera's about to lock off and everything. But you want to go back to this and create a header. I'm gonna tell you exactly why, and you want to pull it. What was it? URL. You want to pull it here, and then you're gonna get the webhook address from the Anymail Finder API documentation. So here it is. So this basically tells you how to insert the webhook URL for what we're doing. Remember, this is the endpoint. Find the person's email header. So the title of the header is going to be this, and the example value is showing you what you meant to put in the content part, and that's obviously a URL. And the URL comes from our webhook that I created. So look, specify a URL to receive the webhook callback when the result is ready, instead of waiting for the request to complete. So literally what I just said. I don't go there. I go to number 2 scenario, and then copy and paste. I copy and paste a lot of things because if anything's out, like maybe I put a frigging capital where it's not supposed to be, I'm just going to get errors. So I like to copy and paste everything what I'm doing. So once I put that header in, when that's ready, that's basically going to send it to this scenario here. Really, I should run it so I can get an example of like it say here, it's listening for the data. It's going to determine the data structure. If you run it, I'll save it. If you run it, you're going to get an example of how the data looks. So then you can map it out in these steps. But because I've done this before, I know how to map it out in these steps. So basically, I've got a filter on here. So my filter is basically, if you find the email, then pass it on through the system. And if not, don't worry. So I've called it labeled if email is valid, but you can label it what you like. So the condition for this email, if for this, what you call it is, if you find success in this, if success is equal to true, then carry on. But success means here, if I was to run the last scenario, this would come here and I'd have the number 1 here, and it would, the data that I'm literally getting from here is literally saying success equals true, which means I found the email. So if I find the email, then we're going to carry on with the flow. So the next thing you want to do is get a chat GPT module and do the same thing that I've done previously in regards to create a chat completion. That's what it's called. The model that I'm actually using for this one is the latest model, the chat GPT 4.0 system, because this one's actually a better model to do the personalized data. So what we're doing now on this last stretch of the thing is we've got the emails. We're going to personalize these emails, personalize each lead with something about them that's going to catch their attention when we're doing cold emails, and that's going to enable us to get a better response rate because people think that we've individualized it and done it one by one, of course. So same thing here. I'll give the system a prompt. You are a helpful, intelligent writing assistant. You'll be writing personalized icebreakers for a cold email campaign. Be succinct, casual, and use a Spartan tone of voice. End with figured I'd reach out. So it's just like a casual one-liner kind of thing to start the conversation, and then after I'll do the rest of my content in the Instantly software. So the same design pattern, user assistant, user assistant, user assistant, and the purpose of it is kind of like instruction example, instruction example, instruction example, and then at the end it'd be yeah, your turn basically. So I'm showing it what to do, training the system, and at the end it's like, yeah, you come up with what I've told you now. So the same thing, write a personalized icebreaker, use the provided LinkedIn profile as information, respond in JSON only. So we want to respond in JSON because we're obviously using JSON to speak to all the API calls and all the other apps. So that's why we're doing that. This, for example, this is written, the instruction is actually, or the example is actually written in JSON, but it doesn't have to be. It's just written in JSON so the ChatGPT system can understand it a lot better and it's a lot more accurate. what we're gonna call the personalization is an icebreaker, but you can call it whatever you like. To be honest with you, I can just call it personalization because in instantly it's already called personalization. So I might go ahead with personalization, but for now, for the sake of this, I'll keep it the same. So basically, as an example, I've kind of put in details from my leads that I've already got. So this is a summary of someone's LinkedIn summary. This is what they've said, their marketing, etc., etc. And as a response, I put, first of all, props on starting an agency in 2020. Was having a read of your bio. I'd consider myself a marketing nerd too, so I figured I'd reach out. And then the next part of my email would go on to how I can actually help them. So if he's got a marketing agency, I could sell him this whole system. So I could say, for example, just put together a quick video showing you how I can get you 30 leads in the next 30 days. For example, if this is any interest of you, feel free to give me a shout. Something like that. It's 2 in the morning right now, so I can't. My brain's not really working the best, but something to get him to respond, and then I can book in a appointment. He'd get automatic follow up to then booking an appointment. So same again. This is just another example. This is their summary pulled from LinkedIn, and then this is the example response. So and I then give ChatGPT mapped it out using the data from here, which I haven't ran this yet, so I don't have the actual data, but I know that this will be called one.input.first underscore name because this is number one here, so that's the position that it's in. And that's how the rest of it's like laid out. If you to type in that in squiggly lines, and squiggly lines are this, that one, two of those to start it and end it, you'd end up with this thing. But when it runs, it will populate this field so it will look red instead of white background. And then user. You can change things like the temperature to make it more like creative or less creative based on like the prompts that you've put in. Like if you want it to be super strict, then make it like 0.2 or something. One's kind of in the middle. Max tokens 250. The tokens are how much it costs you to produce this. 250 is not a lot. I think for maybe like £10 in on OpenAI ChatGPT, if it's £10, you might get like a million tokens maybe. So 250, you can run that all day. You'll be all right for now. Save that. So basically, the response I'm going to get from this, I'm going to have to pass it into JSON so I can use it. So I can map it out into the Instantly campaign, basically. So all I have to do is click on this. See, it's already there here, and click on result because that will be the result of this, and that will come into another thing. That will be passed basically, and then once that's passed, I can add it into here. Oh gosh, another API to friggin' blur out. 1 second. What's this called? YouTube. 10 minutes. All right, cool. Here, icebreaker. Free.icebreaker. Is this number 3? All right, cool. This is going to be called icebreaker, and it's going to be number 3. So that's why it's mapped out already in there. So this is a variable for what I want the campaign to be called. Because basically, you know what? I might not need this anymore. Because I'm going to create a campaign in Instantly myself. So let's do that now. So this is maybe I showed this at the start of the video. I can't remember. I think I did. If I kept it in anyway. This is Instantly. This is what Instantly looks like. But the campaigns are going to be here, right? So I've got all sorts of like testing campaigns. But let's make a new one. Let's call it My Campaign. Sounds like a great name. In here, this is going to be the campaign ID right here. So copy this, go into here, go into here. Also, this is API for Instantly. I'll show you exactly how I set that up as well. But the campaign ID is here. So I can paste it here and save this for now. And that just made me realize that one. I don't actually need this variable anymore. So I can get rid of that. Because what I was doing previously, I was setting up campaigns and I was naming them the current date and time. But I don't need to set up a new campaign every time because I realize I'm doing this singly in terms of adding the leads singly. So let's say I add 1,000 leads, this would add 1,000 campaigns if I was to set up 1,000 campaigns. So I don't actually need that. So I can get rid of that. And let me do that for one I done earlier as well. Don't actually need that. And let me just double check that I don't need that. Actually, you know what? I don't want to blur any more APIs. So save it. So how you'd actually create an API for Instantly is go to here, HTTP, same thing like before, make a request, and then you're gonna get this. And then what you want to do is the same way how we've got Anymail Finder API documents, we can get Instantly. Okay. We can get Instantly API. And then you're going to click here to get the API document for Instantly. I'm still recording. Yeah, good. All right, cool. This is going to be the API document for Instantly. And this is why I said you need a 79 or 97 pound or dollars plan so you can get the API for Instantly. To set up the API, it should tell you in here to be fair, but to set up the API in Instantly, what you'd do is you'd go to Instantly. That's not Instantly. You go to Instantly. You go to integrations, wherever integrations are. My organization, maybe. Thank you guys for being patient with me. This has been a long ride. As you can see, these are like all sending domains that I can send emails from. What you need to do as well before sending emails, I'm not sure if I mentioned, you have to warm up your email account for like 2 to 3 weeks. So ideally, you want to start from sending like 2 emails a day to 10 emails a day on the first week to 20 emails a day on the second week. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. Oh, where the hell is the thing? So, 30 emails a day on the third week, and after the third week, everything will be good to go. You'll be able to send emails, but yeah, you have to warm up your email account for 3 weeks. That's just so it doesn't. When you're sending out emails, not everything doesn't go to the spam, basically. So it warms up to kind of make sure the deliverability is all good to go. But yeah, I found the webhooks anyway. Not webhooks, API keys. So to set up your API key, you're gonna have to go to your settings, go to integrations, go to API keys, and create an API key. All these API keys that you create as well, just keep a record of them somewhere. Keep them safe because I won't be able to find what this API key is in this platform. They only show it once, so just write it down somewhere. That's funny. That I don't need to set up a webhook in this side, not by event occurs. All right. All right. That's if I wanted to do it the other way around. Anyway, back to make.com. So basically, you're gonna get the API documents. You're gonna get your API key. That's how to set up your API key, and then, like I said previously, you only really need how to authenticate. So we are using the bearer token authentication, which is much more secure than the previous version of authentication. Click on get started, and it's gonna have authorization. in there. So I had to authorize. We're using bearer token. You will need your API key. So you're gonna add a new header called authorization. So copy and paste that. Make sure it's about right, well, the American way. And then before your API key, you want to put bearer. So bearer, squiggly line, paste your API key, then close squiggly line. And then that's going to be perfect. That'll be the first header that you need. And then remember, we just need endpoints. So what we do, we're just adding leads to a campaign. We've already created the campaign in the thing ourselves. Create lead. So we just need to create the lead now, really. When you create your API, make sure you have like all or give like yourself all access so you can do everything basically. This is letting you know that yeah, you need to authorize before you can make this kind of change. And this is kind of the example of how you're going to write out the request. So it's going to be a post method. Like if you remember before, you can click on post method. This is going to be the URL that you have to put in the API request. Remember, this is how we've done the authorization. I just showed you 2 seconds ago. And then, like I said previously, most of the content types are application JSON. So I'm going to go back to make, just to show you that I've already done all of this here. But this is where you'd put it. So that's the URL that you paste in there. That's the post method, obviously authorization, my API key, which should be hidden. And if this isn't hidden, then I'm gonna have to rotate it. And instead of putting a header for the JSON application JSON thing, you can just click body type raw, content type JSON. It's the same thing as putting a header, content type, and JSON application, whatever. And then here, this is the actual body. So this is where you're going to let the API know exactly what you're trying to do. And you're going to give it all the information that you want to feed into the Instantly platform. So you want to feed in the email, which is required. That's probably the only field that's required. You want to feed in the personalization, and this is what we get from ChatGPT. You want to feed in their first name, their last name, their company name. It's up to you. You can feed in more. The more, the merrier, if you like. If you want to get really granular with it, but this is like as good as you might need to go, really. So from that, if that's all good, that should all work, and that should all kind of come into the. Also, sorry to cut you because I've already completed the body request, but basically I got everything from here. So this is the first part of the key value for the JSON code, and then the example is shown here. So I copied the campaign ID previously, remember, and I pasted it in my version. So for email, it shows you examples. So everything what you basically need, it shows you an example of kind of how to set up the code, basically. So that's what this API does. What did I want to go to as well? Instantly. I want to go to Instantly campaign. Let me close this. I want to go to Instantly campaign to show you guys the final step, really. I can sleep because there's sleep after this. So my campaign, that's the one that I set up just a minute ago, right? So if you're looking at the moment, there'll be no leads in there, right? So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to run the whole campaign, really. Let's try run the whole campaign. I should really open the first part to show you. Let me open the first part. Let me close this one. I made it earlier. Okay, you can go to this. Save this part. Saved. Make sure you save any scenarios, guys. Scenario. Go to number 1 YouTube build. I'm going to start closing some of these tabs as well, right? But this is basically all the scenarios we created back to back. So I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to close it after. So this is, remember where we put the URL at the start. This is the trigger of our whole scenario. So you'd have to go from, I'm closing it as well, but the LinkedIn search thing. This is Anymail Finder, by the way. I've only got 11 credits left. So yeah, I'll close that. What's that? ChatGPT. Don't need that right now. I don't even need JSON format right now. I'm just closing a lot of things. so I can have the system moving smooth for the final test, and hopefully everything's green, green, green. Otherwise, more headache again. But yeah, the good thing about this, right, is once you learn how to do this, you only need to set it up once for yourself. But once you learn how to do it for yourself, you can do it for clients too, right? Like you can sell this same system to clients. Um, where was I? So what was I doing? So let's run everything, right? Let's get everything ready to go. So all the callbacks are ready to go. That's waiting for information to come in, and this will be the same. This is waiting for information to come in. But we're going to start with number one. So we're going to run this. And what's going to happen here? It's going to find something in the Google Sheet, find that URL row. I don't think that's ran properly. Oh, what have we got here? Oh, you know what? Did it? No. Just my luck. Oh, you know what? I know what the problem is. It's because I didn't update the. It's because I didn't update the. This is watching new rows. Every time you add a new row, it triggers this automatically. But because I didn't add a new row, it hasn't actually triggered. I think I can override it though, for the sake of this. And if not, yeah, I overrid it. So basically, because I didn't add a new row, I basically told it to go back to the old row and do it again, kind of thing. So then that launched the Phantom, and we can check that in here. As you can see, it says connecting to LinkedIn, connected as me, successful authentication. Like it's doing all of this in the background. So as these things will be running automatically, all of this will be going on while you're just, I don't know what you're doing, mate. While you're not worrying about all of this, you'll just have this running automatically, kind of thing. Um, right now it's just on like run once, but look at this beautiful, guys. Remember when it was getting stuck at 3, stuck at 2, stuck at 4? It's gone all the way to 5. Isn't that beauty? And that's then passed on to this part. I've just got it on run once at the moment. So then what's basically happened here is the information's come from here. So remember when I said success equals true, and I was struggling to freaking explain, but basically because I set up this filter, the condition is success equal to true. That means it then passes on to here. So if you find an email, basically, which this found, the email, I don't want to blow up this guy's email. Oh, God. But I blew up his email. Sorry, Ben. It pass on to ChatGPT. ChatGPT will look at it and say, look, the icebreaker could be, saw what you're building at Blue Eyed Visuals. Cool name, by the way. Figured I'd reach out. So it's not the craziest line ever, but if you wanted to experiment and go deeper into it, you can change the prompts to kind of get what you're kind of looking for. But that's good enough for me, I'll be honest. So you're building up Blue Eyed Visuals. Cool name, by the way. It's a cool name, I'm not going to lie. This basically passes the information, so it's called an icebreaker now. And then that's how it gets mapped out into this part. The personalization is called the icebreaker. So you can, that could have been called whatever. I should have probably called it personalization, but because on their API they've called it personalization and they've got a field for it already, I've just put it as personalization. But if I wanted to call this icebreaker, there's another code I could have added. I could have added a comment here, added another code called custom variables, and then changed it to icebreaker and then inputted that. But basically, long story short, that one lead has been added. Should be Ben. Let's have a look. Let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, Ben, Blue Eyed Visuals. I'm so sorry that I blew up your email address, Ben. But that's how the game goes. Here's the personalization. So what you'd then do is you'd map out your emails. By the way, this is only one lead because I've only got it on run once. If I run it again, like I press run again, using existing data, what's already in the queue, because it's a webhook, there's already a queue. So this would do the next one, what's in the queue. But once you've done this, you'd have it on running all the time, kind of thing. So it just pass through. All the leads will just pass through, and then it will just populate So they found another lead basically. So this will update as well. If I was to refresh the leads over here, that will update with another one. So basically, you then map out your cold email. So hi, like first name. I'm not sure what it said, no match found, but that's the variable for first name. Oh gosh, hi first name. Personalization. Oh my word, having a mare mate. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Personalization. No full stop. I recently set up this AI automated outreach system for a client, a company, just like company name, and I'm pretty sure it could get you at least 30 appointments in the next 30 days. I took the liberty of recording a quick 2-minute vid that goes through how it works. Then I'd probably attach like a Loom video here, quick little run through, just like a general Loom as well, like not with his name or anything, that I'd send to everyone, how it works. If this is of any interest to you, let me know and we can jump on a quick 15-minute call, etc., etc. Basically, give you a preview. I just want to show you how it works. So your subject will be hi, first name, quick question. It probably doesn't make sense, but yeah. And then you preview it, right? So because I put first name, it's automatically going to attach the first name of whichever email lead this is sending it to. So in this case, it's Ben, right? But for the other 1,000 people, they change it so it's appropriate to their name, right? So remember, I just put in personalization here. So ChatGPT like wrote this like you remember in automation. So saw what you use, building up blue eye, which is a cool name by the way. Figured I'd reach out. I recently set up this AI. I'd put a link here somewhere. Oh, after the video, I'd put a link. And then send this out. Put a little sequence. Add a step, and the sequence would just be a follow up. One follow up. Just bumping this back up to the top of your email or whatever. If you missed it, here's a video. Do anything, whatever. Just catch your attention again. Save. Schedule it. Go to options. I think you can chop and change a lot of different things. Daily limit 30, so don't go over 30. Show advanced. You can basically do anything and schedule it so it's only on weekdays between 9 till 6 or 9 till 5, whatever time zone you want. No weekends. I wouldn't send like cold emails on the weekends. You won't really get like great results. But basically, once that's all ready to go, you can start launch that campaign, and send out that same email to thousands of people with that automation. All you then have to do going forward, let's say you ran through the first 1,000 people that you want to reach out to, and you want to just keep it going in the background. All you got to do is just go on LinkedIn Sales Nav, find a search of whoever you're interested in, take the URL and copy and paste it in that Excel sheet under the URL column, and that's it. You'll come back here in leads, and your leads will be populated. This will already be populated as well with whatever message. If you want to make any tweaks, that's up to you. You just press send and just chop and change, rinse and repeat. Rather, it's just rinse and repeat from there. So yeah, we got there in the end. So that's literally how we build the money printing machine. And then yeah, because it's like a machine gun approach, right? You're sending thousands of emails, like just off numbers, just off like numbers. I don't even know the saying. Just off the sake of fact of numbers, you're gonna get some responses. You're gonna get some booked meetings. You're gonna get some closed clients, literally. So, 100%, you're gonna make more, 10 times, way more than what you've spent. That £300 a month is gonna be like a drop in the pond, or all my sayings are out of my head. But yeah, that £300 what you spend a month is not going to be anything compared to the results that you're going to get. And probably the highest ROI part, the highest like return on investment part of this is probably the personalization. So you can just go into the scenarios, right? And change the prompts for the generate icebreaker to kind of get it more in depth. You can feed in more information, like you can feed in more of about the person. You can tell ChatGPT to talk more about certain things, whatever you want to talk about. Maybe you want to allude to something more personal rather than the straight business. All of these things are going to affect the response rate, because people are going to think, okay, this is like a personalized email. The guys check me out a little bit. They're gonna it's at least gonna be worth a quick response to them. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I need to show you guys? I think that's it, man. If you got any questions, hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram links will be in the description. Hit me up and I'll get back to you on there. And then yeah, man. Thanks, man. I think I've learned a lot just from recording this process. I think I won't use Loom next time. What I'm going to do is set up the camera, record it, and then record my screen at the same time. Maybe just using Loom without the video, and then hopefully that won't crash and I can just merge them on like a Final Cut Pro. But yeah, that's neither here nor there, guys. But yeah, I've been doing so long I forgot to press stop. Oh yeah.